All right, looks like we are live and ready to go. Okay, let me just double check a few things. Yep, looks like everything is up and running. All right, let's see. Okay, cool. Awesome, 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 awesome. Well, good evening, good morning. I know some people who might be watching this might be morning, it might be a different time of day, but whatever time of day it is, greetings to you. My name is Minra. This is actually going to be my first live. Can you believe it? This is amazing. I've been wanting to kickstart this, kickstart doing lives on my channel for some time now and be a bit more intentional around some of the work that I'm doing. And this is pretty much going to be like a spin off of program that I was hosting before, which was Conscious Connections Gathering, which was being done through Zoom. But I thought, hey, why not do this live on YouTube where, people from all over can tap in at whatever point in time and, see how that works out. So whenever you get to see this, if you're on, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for holding space with me. This is going to be, I feel, such a very intentional, space and a very intentional work, and I'm really looking forward to building on this and looking forward to sharing a lot, So this is going to be done on a Sunday basis, Sunday evenings. I haven't necessarily locked in a time when I'm going to be starting, but of course, you'll be able to see on my YouTube channel like when it's scheduled out from a few days in advance. So you can always tap in live with me, or you can watch the video after it's been posted on YouTube. So again, my name is Minra, and today I wanted to kind of do an extension or do a deep dive, going briefly into a topic that I created a short on, and this was done, I think, last week, or I believe it was last week. And if you go on my YouTube channel, you can check it out after the fact. But the last short I had created was about, the power of our words and its impact on water specifically. And so for this live stream, I wanted to kind of just touch on, the power of words and the intentions behind them and the impact of that, and just to go a bit into more details around that whole topic, because I feel like now it's like a really good time to be, talking about these type of matters. And I'm generally speaking on the channel, I'm going to be touching on different topics, spiritually related, or having to do with, you know maybe some esoteric themes as well. But all in all, the topics that I bring on this platform are to help you as the audience, really be able to become more empowered, more aware around, different things concerning your way of life, different practices that you have, whether consciously or unconsciously, that can really help to allow you to live life in a more aligned way, and just essentially to bring more fulfillment to you and to help you to bridge the gap between yourself and your higher self and the divine. You know what I mean? So really looking forward to sharing on that. So to jump right in, I really don't remember what year it was, but I do know I was in college at the time. More than likely it was my sophomore year that I came across this topic, which sophomore year, that would have been what, 2013? So yeah, that was, guys, I'm getting old, man. That's like 13 years ago, my guys. Yeah, so that was a minute ago, but I came across the work of Dr. Masaru Emoto, and I'll add him on here so you can see him real quick. see, where is he? So that's Masaru Emoto, and this is a Japanese businessman slash scientist, and he did some very profound work around, water and water crystallization and water crystallization specifically around the context of, the impact of words on water and its crystallization, the impact of prayer, the impact of music, the impact of varying, instances, and not just on water. Actually, if you do a bit more digging into his work, you come to realize that he did similar experiments on rice as well, and I believe potentially other things also. But the work that he did on water was what I spent a lot of time in, and he has a few books. um I think it's called The Hidden Message of Water, I believe. And I had gotten the book, and after reading it, after watching videos back then, it really made me shift my thinking about, how I approach, you know, talking to myself, how I approach talking to others. And I think after really diving deep into that work, just being able to, I guess, more fully have an appreciation for the impact of prayer, or distant healing, or just intentionalities that we have for people that might not be around us, and how profound the words and intentions we have, or the words and intentions, yeah, that we have can really impact people no matter where where they are, but through our own intentions, through the internal workings of, the words and the thoughts that we have, they do carry weight, guys. They carry a lot of weight. And so his work, has been really impactful in spreading the message around water's impact. And I'll share I'll share in another image here that really showcases what I'm talking about. And when you can Google this, guys, you'll be able to see more images and more examples of his work, and more examples of the crystals that were formed from his work. So, for example, my favorite, of course, is number four, the fourth one, um, from the top left. Well, maybe it's top right for you guys. And that's love and gratitude. Um, that crystal, for me at the time when I saw that, it was very impactful for me, because I was at a point where I was very, as it were, like, in a place where that theme was very significant for me. And I did mention it in the short as well, that I guess ever since then, I really just started saying love and gratitude a lot. So in a lot of the videos that I have, or in the descriptions, I always add love and gratitude. And once I recognized the fact that the words I had created such a profound impact on water, or and I know I'm using water as an example here, but this is not just applicable to water. This is speaking in the context of vibration and resonance. And if this is not something that you're super familiar with, I highly encourage you to definitely spend time to um, read into those topics about vibration and resonance, because those will speak volume, or those topics will speak volume into bringing clarity around why it is impactful. um, but specifically going back to love and gratitude, though, I made it like a huge deal to speak on the topic of love and gratitude, or to say, express love and gratitude all the time, because I came to realize its impact on me and everything else around me. So I took it as far as to even create, or for example, like when I'd have a water bottle, like, say, drinking water, I would like have a tape, and I'd write love and gratitude on the water, because after realizing that these words and the intentions that we have with these words you know, created like an energetic shift in, the water molecules. I was like, of course I need to speak good to the food that I'm consuming, speak good to the water that I'm consuming, speak good to my own body, which is 70% water, and speak good to others just the same. And I know that this is not necessarily a complicated topic or theme, and that many people can speak to how impactful words are, whether it is kind words and how they make you feel, harsh words and how they make you feel. We know that words have profound impact. So the whole point of me doing this, or selecting this topic or speaking more on this topic, is because I do I think it would be amazing if we do, you know, have more intentionality around how we use these words, because we can't, I guess, in some respects, remain ignorant to the fact that the words that we're saying to ourselves, it does impact us. It does impact our body, it does impact our health, it does impact our future. So being mindful of this and how we use our words to, create, a better outcome in our life, to project goodness or what our well-being onto other people, onto nature, animals, whatever the case is. But the whole premise is that in becoming more intentional around how we use our words, in becoming more intentional around how we interact with other humans or the things that we consume, profoundly impact our day-to-day living. It profoundly impacts our lives. So I really wanted to spend a lot of time, or not necessarily a lot of time, but spend some time really like illustrating how impactful this truly is. And I know, as you're seeing the other images here, you see different um, crystallization that have arisen from words being spoken to the water. So just to go over a little bit of as to how he carried out the process, you know, and I would say that the experiments were done in, like, I guess, somewhat isolated or a neutral environment. So the water, whether it was in like a bottle or a flask or whatever it was in, the researcher that would be conducting the experiment, whether it was one of his team members or whoever, they would place the water in whatever container they're using, and speak to the water, or yeah, well, yeah, speak to the water or expose the water to the music or whatever medium they were using to facilitate the sound. And then after doing that, they would pretty much freeze the water, and then the water, of course, would produce the crystals that would then be photographed within a short span of time, so that it doesn't melt away. So all of these images would have been individual frozen crystals that had been produced after the water was frozen, and the images were taken using like a specific microscope, which then allowed for such beautiful images. So again, like, you can get his book. I do believe it's called The Hidden Message of Water. I think there's like I believe two volumes, and it will really illustrate this topic a lot better. But I really thought and felt that becoming aware of the profound impact of our words goes a long way. And I really hope this brings to light you know how impactful it is to be mindful of our words, and how impactful it is to hold space for like really positive intentions around the words that we're using. And and yeah, like, definitely spend time to just be super intentional around that. So again, this particular crystal is the crystal produced when love and gratitude was used. I again have to highlight it because I absolutely love this crystal. It speaks a lot in terms of volume. The beauty of the crystal is produced by the positive words versus the negative words, and even water that is exposed to a microwave or other negative elements. And he also has imagery that pretty much demonstrates how, if for example water was exposed to something negative and it produced like that one of those disfigured crystals that you'd have seen in the previous image that I showed, when the water after the fact is exposed to positive words or is exposed to prayer or music that is known to carry a very restorative or healing effect, then that the crystals produced after that actually, carried a much different structure. Like the structure was like, if it would have pretty much been like where before the crystal was disfigured and it was like not much of a crystallization that really was created, and then after the water was, the water would have been melted and um then exposed to the more positive sound or words or whatever it was, then it would produce a crystal similar to what you're seeing that had a proper structure, um and its own unique structure essentially. So again, just going back to how profound our words are and going back to how profound using positive words, over um, situations or circumstances that might be deemed bad, how impactful those words can be when they have a positive intention behind it. So, if you're, getting the chance to watch this video, I really, really do hope that, this experiment, this whole idea around water and its profound impact uh shed some light around you know the impact of our words, the impact of our intentions, and how from a vibration and a resonance standpoint that what we're feeling and the intention behind our words can evoke such profound effects. And if we choose to use them in a very conscious way to uplift ourselves, to facilitate even healing within our own body, or to speak healing over our body, or to speak healing over negative situations, versus perpetuating narratives that are negatives, uh, or that really keeps us in a loop of not being the conscious creators that we are. That's an important no, because as conscious creators, our words are how we speak. At the end of the day, it does relate to how we create in the external reality. So that is something important to bear in mind, and that's something over time that I'll do my best to speak to. But just wanted to speak on this topic for a little bit. I promised myself that I would, elaborate a bit on the idea around water and how words profoundly impact water, and like I said, it's not just water alone. It goes back to other elements, and other structures. So like I said, um he did experiments with rice, and I don't recall what else he used, but when you see the rice when you see the impact of the words on the rice, you'll be surprised as well. In that instance, it's more like the rice began to rot as a result of its exposure to the negative words or negative sounds or frequencies, etc. So definitely check that out. Uh, so yeah, I said I would not make this video super long. I really wanted to just kickstart this. So again, this is gonna be a Sunday thing. So I'm gonna be coming on live for a few minutes or a few, just for a brief moment on Sundays, just to do these live videos and go over different topics, go over what's on my mind, and just share in this space. And hopefully this can grow into something that is super impactful and that you guys who are tuning in find it very helpful on your own personal journey. um, I do think that creating spaces like this where we can really have, I would say, like, open conversations around maybe things that aren't spoken of as much, is really important right now, and that normalizing the conversations around these very important topics are very crucial, because this information that I will be presenting a lot of the times aren't being spoken of in school. You're not really getting a formal education around these different things. So being able to better understand, the impact of vibration, the impact of, energy, and the impact of our thoughts, better understanding your mind, um, and all these different profound themes. I do believe it's super important, and it really goes back to, like I was saying, all of us as conscious creators being able and better equipped to create the life that we want, and to create an external world that better matches with, the higher aspects of ourselves, because we don't have to be victims to anyone's reality or anyone's creation. We can create our own. So I hope that you learned something. I hope that you learned something new and impactful that you can use in your life, using, you know helping others as well. So before we leave, let me see if I can get this on here real quick. Bear with me a moment, guys. I'm gonna see if I can share this here. I'm really new to new to like doing all this. As you can see, I'm using StreamYard, so, and I have a bit of learning to do, where that is concerned. So let's see here. I just wanted to have one of my meditation videos playing. Let's see where, there we go. So this particular video that I have on my YouTube channel, so you guys can find this this meditation music on my YouTube channel. So it's the 432 hertz healing music. Um, Again, going back to the impact of words and going back to the impact of frequency. So 432 is like a frequency that has been found to, evoke healing, um, and evoke pretty much a relaxed state of mind. So hopefully you guys can hear it, but even if you can't hear it, that's okay. You can refer to it in your spare time and just check it out. Um, but this is like my favorite background music for when I am meditating, because it helps me to pretty much tap into a very grounded space to then be able to meditate from. No, I don't need to use the music for meditating, but I do like it. and I encourage you guys to test it out. Let me know how it works for you. But I wanted to share this because, again, in knowing how profound words, frequencies, and other elements can affect our body, our bodies, like, it is important that when we are, whether in a meditative state or in a state that, or a state of mind that is like uneasy, we do have options, we do have things to use that we can use to help essentially, you know uplift us and help us get back grounded, or help us to clear or settle our minds a bit throughout that process. So I do encourage you guys to check out that video. Check it out, listen to it, meditate with it in the background. Even if you're not meditating, like, it's a good, like, I play it like throughout the day, just to spread that particular frequency throughout the space that I'm in, because it really does. You can test it for yourself and tell me, like, it really does set a particular tone and a particular energetic, like, signature to wherever you are. Um, so yeah. So thank you guys, so much for tuning in, for checking the video out. If you haven't yet subscribe to the YouTube channel, definitely subscribe. Definitely, hit the like and support the channel. I look forward to really doing more videos like this, doing more streams. This is the first one. So I'm super happy. I'm super glad to have been able to get this whole thing started. And I look forward to having, folks on board, and, we can all, like, um, connect and talk, and catch up on these various topics. And not just that, but my goal, like I was saying to a dear friend of mine, one of my goals is to start doing in-person events, because I strongly believe in the impact of in interperson connections, and just being able to hold space together as a group in person, has profound effects. And this goes back to frequency, this goes back to resonance, and this goes back to creating a space that can have profound effects on our bodies and our minds. And of course, all of that affects your life altogether, So yeah, thank you guys so very much for tuning in. And I look forward the next next week and the weeks to come. And yeah, stay tuned for more. And of course, I'm going to say love and gratitude to you guys always. I'm super happy to be doing this. And, you know, again, a big part of this for me is like helping you guys become conscious creators, to really embody your higher self, your divine self, to embody your truth in a way that brings you fulfillment, brings you peace, brings you joy, brings you happiness. So stay tuned for the next one. And yeah, guys, looking forward to to building this all out. So thanks again. And yeah, take care, guys.